Thank you to not just the Filipino fans but to everyone. I think, you know, here in Indian Wells, of course, sa mga Pinoy, maraming salamat sa suporta. Magkita tayo sana sa Miami at sana sa susunod kong laban mas maganda yung laro ko.
Indian Wells officials believed they were being smart by placing the Filipina breakout star on Stadium 1, yet they clearly underestimated the influence of viewers with a remote in hand. Following a harsh and exhausting Tuesday evening, the televisions are suddenly switching off. What? The Eala phenomenon is undeniable, and the WTA is already facing the harsh and immediate aftermath. Did you switch off your television the moment Eala was eliminated, or are you seriously acting like you still care about the rest of the draw? Tell me in the comments. And just like that, the so-called fifth Grand Slam suddenly feels like an empty arena. Who could have predicted this outcome? Well, pretty much everyone with an online connection in the Philippines and across its global community. Meanwhile, the WTA is said to be completely stunned, which in corporate language basically means, we somehow overlooked that a single athlete was driving all of our 2026 Q1 engagement alone.
And now, ladies and gents, she is from the Philippines. Let's welcome
Let's discuss the beating that unfolded on Stadium 1. The rising star Alex Eala faced world number 14 Linda Noskova. Tournament officials were extremely proud of their decision to spotlight Eala, placing her in the massive 16,100-seat Stadium 1, the second-largest tennis-only arena in the world. They even shifted American fan favorite Amanda Anisimova to Stadium 2 simply to handle the Eala buzz. It looked like a smart marketing decision for exactly 56 minutes, because that's all the time Linda Noskova needed to remind everyone why she sits at number 14 in the rankings. This wasn't merely a defeat, it was a 6-2, 6-0 rout, capped off with a bagel to close the match. Seriously? Noskova played as if she had a plane waiting. Sadly for the WTA's broadcast numbers, she also carried away Eala's momentum and the viewers' excitement. Noskova blasted 7 aces while Alexandra Eala produced none. It felt far less like a competitive contest and more like a 55-minute practice session for the Czech player. Tennis racket and ball.
Doubles tomorrow, you know that. Oh! Oh, that's so well done.
It doesn't look like Noskova is going to let up.
No.
No issue there, though.
Yep.
The other thing to factor in is that if it is so slow, you're often so far up the court.
Feels such an idiot when you can't return that serve.
Oh, but no issue returning that serve from Noskova. What a performance from Linda Noskova. Battle between two young, talented players. But only one really rose to the challenge. Disappointment for Alex Eala. It's been a good tournament for her. Moving inside the world's top 30 for the first time in her career. But it's Noskova who moves on. A simply devastating display of attacking brilliance. It's the better of Eala. 6-2, 6-love to make the quarterfinals in Indian Wells for the first
Then the predictable moment arrived. As soon as the handshake at the net finished, the audience figures didn't merely fall, they completely collapsed. It seems when an entire promotional push is built around a true superstar like Alex Eala, the engagement tends to vanish the second she exits. Honestly, who is rushing to tune in for the quarterfinals now? Talia Gibson already knocked out Polini Pini with a surprising 7-5, 2-6, 6-1 result, which means the next round features Linda Noskova facing an Australian qualifier. I'm sure sponsors are absolutely delighted with that storyline. The irony almost writes itself. Meanwhile, tournament staff are likely staring at the empty chairs in Stadium 1, wondering where the roaring crowd suddenly disappeared to. Maybe those fans returned to the practice courts, where hundreds of spectators were reportedly overlooking Alexander Zverev and Taylor Fritz just to watch Eala do something as simple as tying her shoelaces. Tennis racket and ball. At last, Aryna Sabalenka managed to defeat Naomi Osaka. It required 6 years, a maternity break, and Osaka appearing slightly slow on court for it to finally happen. Sabalenka secured the win 6-2, 6-4, and even joked that things only began improving after Naomi stepped away to have a child. Quite the statement of confidence, right? Sabalenka dominated nearly 70% of the points on her serve, yet the spotlight barely stayed there. Attention had already shifted to Alexandra Eala the moment she arrived on the California hard courts. Even experienced stars have taken notice. Novak Djokovic previously mentioned the Eala effect following the Australian Open ticketing frenzy, saying that overwhelming fan demand is a good challenge to have. Indian Wells, however, just discovered the opposite scenario, a crowd that seems to exist mainly for a single player. Eala leaves California with a career-best ranking of world number 28 and plenty of satisfaction, while the WTA walks away with a noticeable gap in its audience metrics. Remember her dramatic 3-set opening victory over Diana Yastremska? The tournament's day-in-the-life clip featuring Eala quickly pulled close to 100,000 views, becoming their most watched content of the season. Now they might be fortunate if a semifinal highlight reel reaches even a fraction of that number. It's almost ironic how the tour promotes itself as global yet seems shocked when a national hero exits the stage. They gave her superstar treatment hoping for superstar engagement, and they certainly got it. Now they are also seeing what happens when viewers from Manila and beyond reach for the off button. Tennis racket and ball. Eala has struggled historically against Czech opponents, but when it comes to raising the blood pressure of television executives, she's undefeated. The organizers made logical choices considering the massive backing Alexandra Eala attracts. Placing her on the main show court was meant as a bold statement, yet statements usually need a final period, and Linda Noskova delivered it. After that, the tournament suddenly felt like a quiet desert breeze. Looking deeper into why the Eala effect worries the WTA leadership, the numbers tell the story. Scroll through the BNP Paribas Open YouTube channel and you'll find highlight clips stuck around 2,000 views, then suddenly an Eala upload appears and the traffic jumps like a MrBeast video. One behind-the-scenes day-in-the-life clip reached roughly 94,000 views while even Grand Slam champions struggled to crack 5 digits. The promotion team leaned into that momentum, placing Eala's image on the Class of 2026 Instagram graphic beside 7 top 10 names, even though she was the only player there without a seeding or multiple slam trophies. During her match, the atmosphere proved it. While Noskova calmly fired aces and controlled the baseline, most of the cheers were still for the Filipina on the opposite side. Every hold of serve or solid volley from Eala triggered thunderous applause. It was the exact environment the WTA hopes for, loud, energized, and emotionally invested. Then, just 56 minutes later, the energy vanished. The drop in viewers wasn't only about the Philippines. It also involved casual fans who had bought into the storyline of a 20-year-old breakthrough star who had already defeated Jasmine Paolini and forced Coco Gauff to retire injured earlier in the run. Audiences love a giant killer narrative, but when the underdog gets bageled by the 14th seed, attention quickly shifts to the next viral moment. Meanwhile, the bracket still holds solid stories. Aryna Sabalenka dominating matches, Victoria Mboko emerging as Canada's next standout, and Talia Gibson becoming the first qualifier in 11 years to reach the quarterfinals. On paper it's compelling, yet it lacks that explosive spark. The WTA is learning the difficult truth that authentic national excitement like Eala inspires can't simply be engineered. And honestly, the match itself tells the story. Tennis racket and ball. Nothing seemed to work. Alexandra Eala admitted she simply couldn't settle into her rhythm. It was a difficult moment for someone whose rise has been astonishing, leaping from around 140 in the rankings to 32 and now to 28 within a single season. While she now turns her attention to Miami Open to reset, broadcasters covering the BNP Paribas Open are staring at falling audience charts and wondering how to present a Linda Noskova versus Talia Gibson quarterfinal to viewers worldwide. The irony is that the WTA believed it was controlling the storyline, assuming it was using Eala to elevate the event. In truth, she was the one giving the tournament its real heartbeat. Now that the energy is gone, the scene returns to familiar patterns. Aryna Sabalenka might end up lifting the trophy, the stands could remain half-empty, and confusion inside WTA offices may continue until another Filipina sensation appears in the draw. Think about how dramatic this shift has been. Here is a player who hasn't even captured a WTA title yet, drawing larger crowds at practice than stars like Alexander Zverev. It's almost humorous. Top 5 competitors strolling through the grounds like casual visitors while fans line up for selfies with the world number 32. Tournament director Philippe Dor says the organizers enjoy every moment of the excitement and actively promote it, but the bigger question is whether they know how to maintain that buzz once she's gone. Current figures suggest the answer might be no. Earlier in the week when Eala was playing late-night matches on smaller courts, the lights stayed on and crowds remained in the cold just to watch 3-set battles. Now the evening sessions in the main stadium feel more like an expensive library than a roaring arena. It's also a reality check for a sport still searching for massive star power in the era after Serena Williams. They discovered a breakout star but didn't realize she arrived with the backing of an entire nation ready to turn off the television the moment she leaves the court. For Eala herself, the experience still brings positives. She departs happy, about $15,720 richer, roughly 6.3 million Philippine pesos, and finally inside the world's top 30. For the WTA, though, the lesson cuts deeper. Their global audience often turns out to be a patchwork of passionate regional fan bases, and when the one carrying the momentum disappears, the global spectacle suddenly feels much smaller. The same pattern appeared earlier in events like Dubai Tennis Championships, Qatar Open, and even the Australian Open in Melbourne. The so-called Eala effect behaves almost like a traveling earthquake. It arrives, shakes the scene, breaks a few numbers, then moves to the next destination. Next stop, Miami. She has major ranking points to defend there, about 390 from last year's remarkable run. If she falls short of the semifinals, her ranking could slide. If she succeeds, the WTA gains another couple of weeks of surging engagement. It becomes a high-stakes game of keeping the star alive in the draw. But at Indian Wells, that game has already ended. Tennis racket and ball. Tennis paradise suddenly feels more like marketing purgatory. The organizers played their Alexandra Eala card early, and now they are left promoting a draw filled with unseeded qualifiers and dependable yet less exciting veterans. It's a perfect example of how delicate modern sports viewership can be. One star exits and the celebration fades. So what is the WTA supposed to do now? Are they really expecting the millions who tuned in for Eala to remain glued to their screens for the steady baseline game of Linda Noskova? That's a tough sell. Noskova is an excellent competitor and deserves her world number 14 ranking, but she doesn't have a nation of over 100 million fans reacting to every rally like it's a World Cup final. The irony is that tournament organizers at the BNP Paribas Open actually handled the business side perfectly. They spotlighted Eala, promoted her heavily, and built the hype around her story. What they couldn't control was the one factor sports always brings: unpredictability. Noskova clearly didn't receive the memo that she was meant to be a supporting character in the Eala storyline. Instead, she stepped in as the villain and delivered a ruthless performance in under an hour. Now the WTA is left staring at the aftermath in its audience metrics. That class of 2026 Instagram graphic still exists, looking slightly awkward with the main attraction already boarding a plane to Florida for the next stop on tour. It's a blunt reminder that even the largest stadium can't force spectators to stay once the player they came to watch has left the court. Perhaps next year the draw will be kinder and keep the national icon away from the Czech power hitters for a few extra rounds. Until then, the quiet says it all, the sound of countless televisions switching off at the same time. The desert suddenly feels a lot quieter, doesn't it? If you think the WTA front office is stressing over these numbers as much as I am, smash the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next moment when a single athlete flips an entire tournament's algorithm. Tennis racket and ball television.